And this is what she's telling me. Chat is telling me. I'm searching for perfection at 100% that is never being released, so still thus giving me 0. Take this journey with me. Let's define it. Let's build it. Let's live it together. What is going on? What is going on? Got my Red Bull. And we're getting ready to jump in this conversation. Finally, welcome to episode 1. It's your boy, Kevin B. the Brand. And this is Dear Legacy. This wasn't the episode I planned to lead with, but it's the one that led me, right? If this is your first time tuning in and you haven't watched the trailer yet, here's what you're going to expect. This is not just about a podcast. It's not just content. This is more of an open letter, an open conversation for anybody trying to build or is building legacy in real time, right? Because the truth is, most of us haven't even defined what legacy even means to us. I think even for myself, I still am tweaking to what that really means to me, right? I think I have a general consensus on what legacy means to me, but I'm still tweaking it as it goes by, as the days go by, as I mature, as I figure out a couple of things. That's when I really start to think about, like, what is legacy to me, right? Not what people want it to be, not what people expects it to be of me, or whatever the case may be. You know, I had a conversation with somebody, and they said, you know, the life I lived, I should write a book. You know, people learn from stuff that you're going through, and you know, I looked at it as very flattering, right? Because it's dope, right? When somebody sits there and think that your life that you lived is book worthy, which it probably is, right? I've had multiple careers in my short span of 41 years of age, right? And I'm still growing. I take on multiple hats and all the other stuff, but I still need to define that legacy piece for me, right? It's more than just being, like, right now, I know top of mind when I think about my legacy, it's my wife and my kid, right? Everything else will fade over time, but my wife and my kid and the people that's around me, how they speak about me when I'm no longer here, for me right now, that's top of mind to legacy, right? And to be honest, this is why the show was actually created, right? It spawned off from, well, one, I've been sitting on this idea for years, right? And like most entrepreneurs, like most people that's actually trying to go after something, that's trying to build something and create something, especially when you don't have a blueprint, you sit there and you procrastinate on something a lot. And in those procrastinations, in those frustrations, I started, you know, having conversations with myself, and I just started recording them in the drive. I don't even know why it started, to be honest. I think I went on a rant one time, and in that rant, like, somebody reached out and was like, yo, I feel the same way sometimes. And, you know, I try to keep up with it as much as I possibly can. And, you know, like most, we start to slip and we let things get away and we let life. And now it's no longer, I can't live like that no more. I can't be telling people and motivating people and having these speaking engagements and all that other stuff. And behind the scenes, I'm not even living what I'm saying sometimes. So I needed something to hold me accountable. I needed an outlet also. And this microphone thing is my outlet. And the people that's out there, I create this show was created out of necessity for me. For me, for people like me, for anybody that's out there that's still trying to figure it out while navigating through this game called life, right? Like I said, I wear a lot of hats: father, husband, veteran, entrepreneur, speaker, creator, who knows what else. I'm adding author at some point. I'm gonna always keep adding. That's just who I am. That's how my brain works. I had a conversation with my business partner with my brother, who we have the trucking company together. And even when people ask me, I never plan on retiring. Why? I love the start. I love having ideas and watching it come from nothing and build into something, right? And because of that, more than anything, and when I really think about it, it's not even about the ideas that come to fruition or that I start from scratch and I watch it develop into something else, right? Because we all sometimes have that, and it's not even just the entrepreneurs; it's the 9 to 5 people or whatever that's out there that's trying to get to that next promotion, trying to get that next step, trying to figure out this thing called life. But more than anything, we're all out here just trying to build something that lasts. We might not have said that legacy, we might not use that word, but we're all trying to build that something that's bigger than us, that's gonna outlast us, that's more than something. Like, you're thinking about it, you feel it, you could touch it, you could squeeze it, but it's just not coming to fruition. And this is what this is for. You know what I mean? I sat on this for years, trying to figure out the who, the what, the when, the why, the where, all the 5 W's and the H, right? Like, but sometimes you just have to hit the start button. You got to hit the record button. But it sounds great, right? It sounds like, oh, he just started. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to y'all, dog. This is not that type of show. This is not that type of conversation, right? Every let me give you the backdrop of how this actually became to me hitting the record button. Multiple things happen, right? I think between my wife always pushing me, my business partner and brother, my sis Cheryl, my brother A, who put bets on the lines for me to. I've lost bets where I've had to pay up for not starting. I have my people's Jeremy, who's constantly in my ear texting me. Everybody who's seen something in me that just kept pushing me, right? And I keep telling them, yeah, I'm gonna start, yeah, I'm gonna start. Life is life. In reality, it wasn't just life, and it's fear, it's wanting to be perfect. It's a whole bunch of different things that came in the way. But a few months back, I think what really sparked something in me was, how did it happen? I think what really happened in it was like, I was like, bet I'm a launch, right? Then I was like, I'm gonna tweak the format a little bit. Let me set up some gear. Let me do. I need the studio set up for me to do some stuff. I wanted to make sure that, like, the aesthetics was great so that you guys could see it. I mean, it is good aesthetics. One day I'm gonna do a video of, like, the meaning behind all the stuff that's behind, because it's telling a story in itself, a story of me, right? But to be completely honest, the truth is, I was just scared, bro. I'm not gonna hold y'all. And it's not the scared, like, I think for me the scare always comes that I was scared to fail. I've failed before, but to fail in public now, to fail where people could see you failing, to fail where people could talk about you failing, that's a different kind of fear, right? And I think mostly I was more so scared to showing up as me, right? No filters necessary, more than just the hype, right? Because for so long you talked about something, for so long you kind of shared little tidbits, and people's like, oh my God, that's gonna be dope, that's gonna be dope, that's gonna be dope, you should do it, you should do it, you should do it. Everybody wants you to do something, and you're like, damn, so many eyes are watching, so many people are expecting this, they want you to show up in this manner, and that just puts on the pressure to the point where you're like, damn, I gotta be perfect, I gotta do my research. And even when I do my research, I gotta do even more research. And real talk, it was like, I think it was one time I was doing more research, and I had YouTube up, right? Because that's where a lot of us go to learn outside of ChatGPT and YouTube, right? So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna. Um, I don't. I The plan is the plan. I have the cameras. I'm not, no camera set up. I just need to lock in on what I'm doing. Not the content yet, but like, let me do a little bit more research. So when I do go out this, I'm going to go do it. But you know what I realized now, as I'm telling the story on how it came about, I never really put deadlines on it. And I think the only time there was a deadline to it was when Alex challenged me and put a bet on it. And let me tell you how far back this goes, how far back this thing was supposed to launch. Outside of when Alex did the bet with me, that was in July. And I told him I was going to launch by August. I told him by August I was going to launch. Guys, we didn't launch till December 31st. I lost $100 on that bet. But me being petty me, I paid that man in change. And I'm not talking about I'm gonna make a video of it because I have a video of it or whatever. So much content that I'm just sitting on. I'm gonna make a video of it so you guys can see that I paid this man in change. Excuse me. I paid this man in change, but not only did I pay him in change, I cracked open every roll. Pennies, nickels, dimes. I really wanted to do it all in pennies, but the bank wouldn't allow me to get that much pennies. They was like, nah, you can't take. You're gonna rob it. You're gonna clean us out of all of our pennies. But anyways, so I wanted to just lock in and do some more research because I'm new to this YouTube stuff, right? So we all know how algorithms work on social media and all that stuff, and I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna do it, I want to know how to do it, the best way to do it. How do I make sure that I unlock the algorithm so I can get this message out to you guys, right? Because I feel as though when you're going through something, you don't realize how much other people are going through the same things that you're going through. They might look perfectly fine. They might look like they got all their shit together. But in reality, they don't know either. And they're struggling. And they might just need somebody to say that I'm fucking struggling too, just like you. And this is what I did. Or this is not what I did, but let me bring somebody over here and tell you how they did it, how they're building their legacy, how they define their legacy. That doesn't mean that's how you're going to define yours, but it might help define yours. It might help shape yours, right? So all this is happening. So I'm doing some more research. I'm on YouTube University, whatever the case may be. And I put it on in the back. I have the videos playing, right? And I'm taking down notes or whatever the case may be. I was doing something else probably also. And yeah, I remember a video popped up from Breana Hampton. iambreajones on YouTube. You should watch a couple of her videos. It's actually pretty good. And then she just released another video, or maybe it was pre-release. And let me be real, y'all guys. I don't do these assignments that these people be trying to tell you to do. I literally just watch the situation. I watch, and sometimes I might take a note or two, but I'm not the type to sit there and do the assignments that they're telling you to do, right? I don't know how many people actually really sit down and do the assignments. I think I'm a audio and visual learner. So, she started talking about some, and then she said something, and it made me pause, and I started to listen a bit harder, right? Now I'm actually watching the video. I stopped what I was doing, and I'm watching the video, and I'm listening. And then I sat there for the first time I actually did the assignment. And that assignment, I want to say changed everything, but it really didn't. It changed it, but it's not like it changed it and it unlocked something and I was like, boom, gotta go. Because like I told you, I was supposed to launch this in August. And then I think the next date that I put out was October for my birthday, around that time frame. This is one of my 3 shows that I'm launching. And if you've seen, I did a release for my other show that was supposed to drop in October, and that didn't even get released in October also. It's now up and running, and going. If you want to check it out, it's Please Excuse My Balls. It's a sports show where I just talk about things that are going in the sports world or whatever the case may be. But this situation changed something to for the better, but not triggered it for me to go right away, right? And I want to call this part the night that AI checked me. So, and I'm calling it the night that AI checked me because we live in a world of AI now. And in this world of AI, we are sitting here and we ask it all types of questions and it's learning from us. We ask it to do certain things for us. And like me, I ask chat to do a lot of stuff, right? Now, chat ain't my end all be all. There's people that's out here that copy paste the whole thing that chat tells them. You're supposed to use it as a tool, right? So the assignment was simple. She said, open up the chat bot that you use the most. And when you go in there, I want you to write this prompt in there. And if you're watching this and you want to do this for yourself, you could do it. I'll try to put the prompt question down below or somewhere, pop it up one of these areas. Editor, please help me put it up for them. So the prompt was, what can you tell me about myself that I don't already know? Be as critical as possible. Identify where I can improve. So I'm saying there, I was like, I'm going to type it in. What's chat going to tell me that I don't know about myself? You're AI. You don't know me. You don't know nothing about me. And then I realized chat did know me. And chat, sure enough, did not fucking hold back. That's for sure. The crazy part about the whole thing is when you ask a chatbot a situation like this, it's not like asking a friend. A friend is gonna, they have their biases, they have some type of filter, and there's an emotional cushion in between you and the friend. Even if you're talking about a mentor, somebody you respect, or whatever the case may be, there's always that curve. They're gonna give you the harsh truths as you need, but they're not really like digging into you to the point where your feelings might get hurt. And we would hope that when it's for constructive criticism, your feelings are not getting hurt, right? We grow from constructive criticism. We learn from constructive criticism, right? At least we're supposed to. You know what I mean? If we're taking the stuff personal, then we have bigger issues that we need to work out before we even get to this part. But what it sent back to me, and I'm going to share it with you guys also, because this is how we're going to have these conversations, and we're going to grow from there, and we're going to build this legacy in real time. So no bias, no filters, no emotional cushion, just a tech product based off of the things. Because remember, I'm telling it these things. Some of the research that I'm doing, I've plugged into ChatGPT, because sometimes it's quicker to ask the questions and see what it spits out. And then sometimes it tells you where you can go to do your research. Chat is a great tool to use. To YouTube, and I use the tool with YouTube also, right? Because sometimes I'm learning something off of the YouTube stuff, and I'll hear something, and I gotta do a quick. I don't want to go do a Google search. I'll ask chat real quick, right? So, and sometimes developing ideas and thoughts sometimes is great to use ChatGPT. So this is what the ChatGPT told me. She said, and my ChatGPT is a she, by the way. So she said, what you likely already know, you're a visionary. You build brands, systems for your legacy. You're deeply purpose-driven when it comes to family, faith, and impact. You're multi-talented across multiple lanes. You're building something with real intention and heart. I'm sitting here like, yeah, that's me. That's all facts. That's all facts. You know how I move chat. And even with them saying the good thing, you're still sitting there. It's like, yeah, that sounds good. I knew it. I knew I was doing something right. I knew I was doing something right. And then it hits you with what you might not know or you've been avoiding. Number one. And she hit me with 5. How much she gave me? She gave me like 5. Yeah, 5. 5. Yep. So first thing she goes, you're spreading yourself too thin. You're trying to do multiple media stuff. You're doing brand CEO stuff. You do coaching on the side. You got the trucking company. You're creating content. You're doing the merch. You're speaking. You're doing real estate. Sometimes it's just a little too much. And I asked her, but what is too much, right? Because the reason why I asked what is too much, I'm a firm believer. I hate the line that goes, if you're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. Some people are just talented enough that they can run in multiple lanes. But like she said, the danger that I'm doing is I'm diminishing the depth of the things that I'm creating. See, I could be in real estate. I could be in media. I could be the coach. I could do the speaking and all that other stuff. But the thing is, it has to become some type of focus, right? Prime example is I have friends that are splitting themselves in multiple lanes. But the thing that they're doing that's different from me is the main thing is still the main thing. Their main thing is what spreads out to these other things. So instead of me trying to throw a whole bunch of things at the wall and seeing what sticks, go back to the main thing. This thing right here in the microphone, that's the main thing. It gives me the voice for my speaking. It gives me the information that I need to put out there for real estate to let the clients come back to me, building that trust within my clients. It gives me the situations where I could expand on my media outlets. I could expand on brand CEOs, and then thus bring in the merch and all that other stuff. So the challenge that it gave me is, what if you cut 30 to 40% of your projects and went all in on your top 3 that matter most, and then build from there? I was like, damn, that's the first thing you hit me with right off the rip. And you start to think about it. It was like, all right, 2 to 3 projects and cut down the rest. She didn't say get rid of the rest. She didn't say never come back to the rest. She said cut down and focus on the top 3. Focus on the top 3 and let that be the foundation, and then build from there. All right, bet. I got the notes for there. So that was my first thing, right? Then she said, your second thing. This one kind of hit. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. She said, you're the engine and the bottleneck. Ooh. That one right there. That one. I said, you're the engine and the bottleneck. And she goes, let me explain. You're a visionary, a planner, an executor, an editor, a speaker, a strategist, but also delaying by overthinking, tweaking, and redoing. I said, oh shit, she calling me out. This is the second thing you already noticed about me. All I do is ask you a couple questions. All I did is tell you to develop this. Hey, this is my thought. This is my idea. Develop this. What would you do with it? So you, from just a couple of things that I've put into a system, you already broke me down in 2 spots. She said, you're the engine and the bottleneck, meaning you got everything going, but you're also slowing the thing down. It's cool to be able to wear multiple hats. What I'm getting out of this, it's cool to be able to wear multiple hats, but know when you need to delegate that at one or 2 hats. That's what I got out of that. That's building a legacy. I think a lot of us think that we got to be able to do everything by ourselves, because that's what we see on social media. I'm self-made. Stop. You're still self-made even if you have a team of 20 people. You're still self-made if you have 3 people beside you that's been grinding and working hard. It's still yours. So why be the bottleneck? Why you got to do everything? The reason why I'm able to start doing what I'm doing right now is because of this line right here. I stopped being a bottleneck. Instead of me trying to be the talent and the behind the scenes, I'm going to focus on being the talent. Because there's other people that's more talented than me, that's better at editing, that's better at being a strategist, that's better at being on social media, that's better at doing things that I'm trying to do right now, all while still being the visionary, all while still being the speaker, all while still creating the content. Why? Why? You don't have to. So this was a challenge to me. Start systemizing and letting go. 85% done and shipped beats 100% of perfect and never released. Ooh. One more time. Start systemizing and letting go. 85% done and shipped beats 100% of perfect and never released. I wrote that line down. Because it reminds me of a line that if you know me, you know I'm a big J fan, and I feel as though there's a J line for anything that you're going through in life. And Jay always said, I'd rather be 50% of something than a 0 of nothing. That don't make no sense. And this is what she's telling me. Chat is telling me. I'm searching for perfection at 100% that is never being released, so still thus giving me 0. Where I could just still put out the 85% that's done, ship it out there, and let it grow from there. That was 2. On the third thing she told me, she said, you're leading with legacy, but still playing it safe. The message there is that you have great ideas, but the content, that's sometimes a little too clean, right? You're not, you're leading, you're saying what you're supposed to be doing, but you're still playing it safe at the same time. Every time that I'm sitting here still trying to search for that perfection, I'm playing it safe. I don't want to put myself out there. Remember what I told you in the beginning? I'm not afraid to fail. I'm afraid to fail while people's watching. Why? Nobody's perfect. So why am I trying my damnedest to be perfect to the point where nothing's ever being released? And I know I'm not the only one. I know it. There's a whole bunch of us that's out there right now that's afraid to release it because we're trying to be 100% perfect. But we got 85% of it already done. We're leading. We're on a roll, but still playing it safe. So here was a challenge. Be less curated, more confession. Show more of the man before the brand. What I got out of that is, yes, I tell people all the time, you're a walking brand. That's why I call myself Kevin B. the brand. I'm a brand. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. You see what I did there? There's a J line for everything. But the thing is, the brand can't be so big that we're still seeking that 100% and we're playing it safe. We have to be willing to put out the 85%. Because that 85% that you put out there is your turning point, is your trigger point that's going to change something in your life, that's going to make the true legacy, the true brand become what it's supposed to be. Because you put the 85% out. You wasn't afraid to fail because people are watching. You wasn't afraid to fail because of all the hype. That's crazy. Number 4, you're waiting for the perfect moment. Do we need to say more? You're waiting for the perfect moment. That I knew was a fucking fact. It's a fact. Every time that I got on here and I watched more videos, every time that I got on here and I did more research, every time that I had to go buy a new doohickey to set it up, when all I needed, to be completely honest, was just my phone. Just my phone, and I could have just started. Most people that are successful right now, they didn't become successful. I've had a thought of the day about this. Nobody is an overnight success. We just think it's overnight success because we're just now seeing it. But they were grinding for years. Maybe months. But nobody was an overnight success. You might go viral overnight. But to get to that viral moment, you still got to put that 85% out. You can't be afraid to fail. You can't be waiting for the perfect moment. And I dropped a video about this. There's no such thing as perfect timing. There really isn't. Your time is your time. There's no perfect timing. The truth of the matter is what she said right here. Perfection is procrastination in disguise. Ooh. What did I tell you I was doing? I was procrastinating. July. Didn't release till December. Been sitting on Dear Legacy, the idea, for since 2023. 2 years? 2 years. 2 years of procrastination. Of telling lies. You know why I say I was telling lies? It's lies because you're making up excuses. And you start believing these excuses. Life is lifing. I get it. You working a 9 to 5, you're wearing multiple hats, and you're trying to squeeze things in between. But if it's that important, if you're really trying to build that legacy, if you're really trying to expand on that brand that you keep talking about, if you want to be sitting and speaking to 100 people in a room, 1,000 people in a room, 10,000 people in a room, if you want to get the message out there and uplift people and let them know that these can be done, stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for 100% when your 85 is good enough to start. 85 is good enough to start, right? You don't need a full rollout. You just need to release. That's what she told me. And I know exactly why she said that. I've asked her multiple times because the dates kept changing. Hey, give me a rollout on how I'm going to do this on social media, how I'm going to introduce the logo, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that. And it helps me, gives me a whole timeline. One time it developed a 2-year plan. That don't mean I got to go by the 2-year plan that she developed, but it's a blueprint. You literally have the blueprint right here. Now all you got to do is just tweak that as you go along. But you know what you didn't have to wait on? The first one. You didn't have to wear it on the first one. 24 months worth of ideas. You don't need a full rollout. You just need a release. Jeremy told me that. Alex told me that. Shirley told me that. Stefan told me that. My wife told me that. Hell, my ex even told me at one point. I have a circle full of people telling me what I should be doing. The talent is there. The ideas are there. The branding is there. Just put it out, bro. I kept dimming my light. Nobody's dimming it. Everybody's out here turning it up to full wattage, telling me to go. But I'm waiting for some perfect moment. I'm out here playing it safe. I'm sitting here being scared. I refuse to put out the 85% searching for 100. $100 is zero is still zero. No matter how much we try to slice it up. And then she said the last point that she gave me before to wrap up these 5 ideas. She said, "You lead, but who leads you?" I don't know what the fuck you talking about. She said, "You pour into others, but who's challenging you?" I'm like, damn, a lot of people challenging me. I know I pour into others. And by what I got out of that is, you know, you have all the bright ideas, you have all these other things. You sit on a call with somebody, and you could break down all types of ideas. Hey, this is a strategy that you should be in. But yet, when you get off that phone call, you're not applying those same strategies and ideas that you're giving out to the next person. Not because they're wrong, not because they're bad. You just refuse to apply it to your work. Because again, you're still searching for perfection. You're still trying to get that 100%. You're still waiting for the full rollout rather than just releasing. That's what you're doing. You're being the bottleneck to your engine while still spreading yourself too thin. And I ain't even going to hate on this, because the way it started off, she told me the good qualities in me. Like most would do, right? A lot of people are going to tell you the good. A lot of people might tell you a couple of bad, right? I had my brother Stefan, who I have the trucking company with. We was having our end of year meeting not too long ago, and I think that's really what put the battery in my back. Him and my wife. I think those two rode me like there's no tomorrow. Pause. But he made me watch a video. It was a clip of a video from a movie. It had Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. I don't remember the name of the movie. Don't make me lie to you guys. But in the clip, Ben Affleck is telling Matt Damon's character. Matt Damon's character told him let me remember it. So Ben Affleck's character is talking to Matt Damon. Matt Damon's character then tells Ben Affleck, "Oh, I'm never leaving here. Why would I ever want to leave here? You're here, man." And then he goes on this whole rant, and then Ben Affleck literally tells him, "Fuck you. If I see you here in another 20 years with all the talent that you have, being around this fucking place, I'm gonna fucking fight you myself." And I'm paraphrasing, right? And what I got out of it, he was trying to tell me, he was like, "Listen, I've been watching you trying to do all this stuff that naturally comes to you. You're telling everybody how they can be doing it, which is great advice, but you're not applying your own advice. So I'm hearing this outside my house and inside my house. They're not wrong. They want the best for me. And they're watching me just like this AI is watching me. It's just they didn't put it as bluntly as she did. Have they told me that I'm spreading myself too thin? Yeah. You know, have they told me what am I waiting for? Yeah. Stop searching for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for the 100%. You're doing all this here, but you're not doing all this there. It became, and then her challenge for that last one was get around people who ain't impressed by you, who push, who challenge, who holds mirrors. The first line is what really gets me. Get around people who ain't impressed by you. That's crazy if you think about it, right? Because, and when they say impress, we're not talking about like, oh my God, they're so infatuated with you. You're so amazing at what you do and blah 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 blah. No, we're not talking about that. That's love. Those people are showing you love. You are talented in some way, somehow, right? And they believe in what you're trying to do. But at the same time, the biggest lesson you're gonna get is by people who ain't impressed. Because when they're not impressed, you're trying to figure out how to impress them. Now you're no longer afraid. If you're somebody who's built like me, you're no longer afraid about failing. Because now you got a chip on your shoulder. Why ain't they impressed with me? You know why they ain't impressed with me? Because I ain't gave them nothing to be impressed about. They can't be impressed. You sitting there hiding all your talents. You sitting there putting everything in a nice little polished box, waiting to put it out there, whatever the case may be. They don't know what's in that goddamn box that you try to impress them with. So what they got to be impressed about? Give them something to be impressed about. When I read all this, and mind you, I'm just giving you the bullet points. Like, there was a long, extensive paragraphs written for each of these bullet points. I read it, and then I literally sat there with it for a second. And the first thing that I did after that, I read it to my wife. And my wife was all like, damn, I need to do that. I was like, why? She was like, because she's right. There's not a thing in there that she did not hit. She might not have gotten all that you are, but majority of it is true. You know, it's true what she's saying. You're hindering yourself. You're at your own demise, right? And the reason, and that's why I said, like, this was never supposed to be the first episode. I had all types of other ideas that, and then I started thinking, I was like, I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. Keep pushing dates by. Pushing dates. Went from October. Got out of October. Damn, I got to get this out before Thanksgiving. Because once Thanksgiving hits, I'm creating more excuses. Then I gave myself a drop dead, I don't care. December 31st, the last day of this year, these things will be released. And now you have nothing. Now you have no choice but to keep going. Because that fear that's still lingering in you, no matter how much I try to clean it up, there's still that fear. I don't want to fail to you guys. Because that fear of failure, the only way I'm going to keep combating this is because I know I'm going to help somebody else. Somebody else is writing their open letter. Somebody else is trying to figure it out. Somebody is doing their Dear Legacy letter right now. They're writing down their notes. They're writing down their goals. They have their vision boards. They have their journals, their planners, whatever it is that they're using. They're building their Dear Legacy. So that's how I turn down that noise of the fear of failing. Because I'm not going to fail. You can't fail if one person, if you affect one person's life for the better. Because that one person's life that you change for the better might be the next person that's going to turn around and do what I'm doing, but even better. And then they're going to go affect 100 people, 10 people. I'm not even going to say 100, 10 people. Because then that 10 is going to go turn around and do 100. And that next 100 is going to do 1,000. That 1,000 is going to do 1,000,000. 1,000,000 is going to do 100 million. So how did I fail? I set the stage for somebody else to then keep going. My legacy is still growing. Dear Legacy is not just a podcast. It's not just content being created. It's not just another motivational based show. It's not just videos to go viral. It's not that. It's a movement. Dear Legacy is a movement. And it's starting with one. Starting with one. So in sitting in that, the next part of the assignment that Breana had said is ask it another question after you get the brutal truth. Based on everything I shared, the goals I've set, the way I move, where do you see me in 3 to 5 years? I ain't gonna hold y'all. After she just read me up and down, I had to, if you ever use ChatGPT, you hit in the square and then it starts saying thinking. And then it starts moving. And then like your question still sits there, but you can see the words just start to just go down. I ain't gonna hold y'all. It took me a while before I could scroll. I didn't want to scroll. Because if this is what you think about me already, I know you gave me the good, you gave me the bad. But what if how you see me in the next 3 to 5 years is not how I envision the next 3 to 5 years? What's that about to do to my ego? What's that gonna do? What's that gonna do to me and my fears of failing. Let's see what she said. The dream life vision. It came back with, I truly felt like the future was written. If you look, it says Dear Legacy. And every time you're going to see Dear Legacy, there's always going to be 3 dots behind it. The 3 dots represent 2 different things. The 3 dots mean it's still open. This is never going to end. The 3 dots are always going to be there. The reason why the 3 dots are going to be there is because it's ever changing. It's ever growing. It's ever building, right? Also, the 3 dots represents 3 different generations. It started with my father. It's me in the middle, and it's my son right behind. So it's never going to end, because once my son has his son or his daughter, the legacy is still going to continue. Ever open, ever changing, ever growing, ever developing. So this is what she wrote. Let's not even get into all the flashy parts. Here's what it really showed me. I finally take action. I stopped talking and I started executing. I created Dear Legacy, the show and the brand. The LLCs are secure. The trademarks have been filed. Because that was one of the things that I kept procrastinating on. Because I kept asking it questions about LLCs and trademarks and blah, blah, blah. How do you do this? How do you do that? October, I finally executed. But even though I executed, there was still the disconnect, right? But in this 5-year plan that she sees, the dream life vision, I started delegating the work instead of trying to wear every hat. I spent the necessary time and money to build it right. And then with that, I created something real, not just for views, but have impact. And I'm giving you the highlights of what it was, but it was really, if you're like me, you never do these things, just do that. Do those 2 prompts and see what it comes back with, because it is either going to motivate you or it's going to trigger something that will eventually motivate you, right? Because like I said, I did this thing, I want to say this was around September I did it. October, I moved on and I did the Dear Legacy LLC. I secured, it's not done yet because, it's a process, but I put in my applications for the trademarks for Dear Legacy, Please Excuse My Balls, and some other things. I started hoarding onto the funds doesn't do anything for you if you're using the funds properly, right? So I put the money behind the things that I'm trying to create and build and develop, right? And I feel as though Dear Legacy is more than, like I said, if this is more than just a show and a podcast. This is something that is a movement. This is something that is for the everyday person. We're not all going to have our names on buildings. That's going to last. We're not all going to have patents that's being used in everyday use. But what Dear Legacy is, it's that open scribe letter. It's that open conversation with oneself, the goals, and how we're going to get to these points. Dear Legacy isn't about having the biggest bank accounts. Unless that's what legacy means to you. That's fine. Dear Legacy could be your 9 to 5, and there's these goals, and you have a side little hustle on the side. You could be an entrepreneur. It's you making sure that you're leaving something for your kids. It's you just making sure that your name means something. It's making your parents proud. If that's what gets you going, that's what Dear Legacy is going to be about. These type of conversations where we could learn some, where we could trigger some, it's the people that will bring on that'll talk to us, because again, there's plenty of shows out there where you could learn about business, you could learn about entrepreneurship, you could learn about 9 to 5. Yes, we're gonna do the same things, but I'm gonna force people to tell us the other side of the story. Because 9 times out of 10, we get people to come and they talk to us about how they got to not even necessarily how they got to they're telling us the greatness part, to when we start to believe that everything was some type of overnight success. And then when we don't have it in 2-3 months, and we don't have it in 6 months, in a year, and 3 years, we think we failed. In reality, we didn't. They was putting in the same type of effort. We just don't know the effort that was being put on. They gloss over it. Not that they're trying to hide anything from us. It's just people don't want to know about the grind, the grit, the hard work you got to put in to get to a certain level. We want it instantly. We want it microwaved. But sometimes we can't microwave it. We got to go old school on it. We gotta marinate it. We gotta let it sit for a while in the marinade. We gotta then put it in the oven. We gotta watch it cook, slow cook. We gotta pull it out. We gotta base it. We gotta put it back in. You know what I mean? And then sometimes you then gotta fucking pivot. In that whole thing, you know what line hit the hardest for me? It said, legacy isn't what you leave, it's how you live. The reason why it hit so hard for me is because it's something that I already believed. And then to see it come back to you based off of this type of exercise, it understands that I know legacy isn't about what you're leaving behind. We could all leave big bank accounts. We could all leave multiple properties. We're going to talk about how we could do all that stuff. Investing, buying properties, starting businesses, putting names on buildings. We could all leave that. But how are you living right now? How are you building the brand right now? Because somebody's watching. You're somebody's blueprint. You know? I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't, that this was the spark that did it all. You know what I mean? Like I said, it was in September that I did this. Did it spark something in me? Yeah, it sparked something in me. It made me more vigilant to the things that I was doing. To realizing that I need to just start executing certain things. And even then there were still delays, right? I put in the paperwork. I felt, oh yes, I'm chugging along. But as you're chugging along, you're still doing the things that she said that you was doing. You're trying to create the content. You're trying to edit. There was times, guys, I recorded a whole bunch of stuff and I just deleted them. Because why? I'm looking for that perfection. And then I never started. Just happened in September. I've been sitting on this idea for 2 years. I've done all the research. I've done watched all the videos. I've done all this. I've talked to the attorneys. I've talked to comrades. I'm talking to tax people. I'm talking to financial people. I'm doing all these other things. And it took AI to really turn that mirror and tell me about myself for me to finally put in paperwork. And then another month or two would go by before I finally decide that, you know what? I can't keep doing all this, because me trying to create the content and edit it, me trying to create the content, edit it, and be the one that's doing all my social media and still doing the coaching stuff and still doing the speaking stuff and still doing this. And by the way, you still got to be a husband. You still got to be a father. Your kids playing sports, so now you're coaching. You still got to be a friend. You still mentoring. You still an uncle. You still got businesses that you're trying to run. Stop being a bottleneck. Every time I feel as though there's a lag or a delay, I go back to those 5 points. And it reminds me of me defeating me beating me being afraid of certain things and not executing on the stuff that I need to be executing on. Remember, legacy isn't what you leave, it's how you live. So I have to live. If I want to leave something, if I want my name to mean something, if I want my kid to be looking like, damn, my dad did this, that's the bar, here's the blueprint, that's how I'm going to move, then I got to separate and I got to start delegating. So I started building a team. I started listening to the people that knew me best and only want better for me. I'm leaning into that. I'm leaning into these 5 things that this lady told me that I'm doing wrong. I'm spreading myself too thin. I'm the engine and not the bottleneck. You're leading with legacy but playing it safe. You're waiting for the perfect moment. You lead, but who leads you? Ain't nobody impressed by the 0 that you're doing. They're going to get impressed when you're actually doing. So I told myself, December 31st, no matter what, something is being released, because once it's out there in the world, you have no choice now to follow through. I put the 85 out because 100 was getting me nowhere. I stopped looking for the perfection, because you know what stop looking for the perfection does? I released a trailer and I realized some things that I needed to fix, because now it's only going to get better. 85 is going to turn into 87. 87 is going to turn to 89. 89 is going to go to 93. 93 is going to go to 97. 97 is going to get to the 100. And once I hit that 100, now the main thing's the main thing. I could develop and grow that. We're going to develop and grow this thing together. I may not have everything lined up perfectly, but I'm in motion now. Now that I'm moving different, I'm moving with intention, moving with clarity and with urgency. So let me ask you something before we wrap this up. What dream have you been sitting on for years? What's still stuck in your notes app? What's still inside ChatGPT? What's still inside Claude? What's still inside any AI that it is that you're out there using? What is scaring you to actually start? Because the question is, just like I had to ask myself, would you rather start messy or never start at all? Because you could build on messy. You could grow off of messy. But not starting at all, how you growing? How you developing? So here's the challenge to brand CEOs. Don't just rely on your circle, because sometimes they love you too much to be honest with you. Or it could be the flip side as well. They don't want to tell you what could take you further away from them. Sorry, it took me a second to read that note. Sometimes I just type too fast. In other words, they don't want to tell you what's great in you, because the great in you is going to pull you further away from them while they're still stuck. But you know how you combat that? You go and reach back. Reach back and grab them. So now they're no longer afraid to tell you the truth, because the truth that they got to give you is in line with their truths as well. Ask the uncomfortable questions. Even if you think you know the answer, ask it anyways. Use the tools available to you so you could develop it, but don't be so bogged down behind it. Get the mirror that reflects more than just your appearance, but the patterns that you do in life. We all look good when we walk out the door. But the patterns that people can't see, the late nights, drinking the Red Bulls and the coffees or whatever it is, Those are the patterns that are reflecting even brighter for when you do walk back out there. Because what you don't know about yourself might be the exact thing that's holding you back from the life that you say that you want. I'm pretty sure these are quotes that you've seen somewhere, because I've read the same exact quotes and heard the same motivational things. But it's true. That's why they keep circulating. The stuff that you don't know about yourself might be that thing that's holding you back from the life that you say that you want. I don't know if you ever seen the memes where the guy's digging, and then when he quits, 2 more inches was a diamond. Keep the main thing the main thing. We all have that one talent. We might be multifaceted talent, but the main thing's still the main thing. And if we could work to that 80% on the main thing and let it bubble up to the 100, you can then now in turn and go get the other thing that's at 60, at 40. That's going to tie into the main thing to give you that life that you're looking for. This is what Dear Legacy is. Not about being perfect. It's about being real with yourself, real with those around you, and growing. That's what I got for you guys. Tune in next week. If this episode gave you something to think about, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, share it with someone who you feel as though is building something in real time. Share it with someone that you want to have this type of conversations with. Maybe this is the spark that you'll need or that other person will need. Till then, I'll see you next week. It's your boy, Kevin B. The Brand. Till then, go define it, go build it, and definitely go live it. Peace.